Washington, D.C. is now under permanent military occupation without any voter representation. Trump is turning it into his own citywide fortress where the Constitution essentially gives him the ability to operate as a dictator. You probably noticed that some of the arrests made at the big, beautiful algae plume were made by Oklahoma State troopers who have no apparent jurisdiction in Washington, D.C. They're operating, however, on an MOU with the U.S. Park Police. This is what gives them the authority, and this is how Trump will continue to grow the force. In normal times, about 6,200 officers patrol the streets of D.C., a city that's 68 square miles with about 700,000 people. To put that in perspective, the city of Los Angeles has about 8,700 officers, with a city population of almost 4 million. So the DC law enforcement presence was already excessive, but you could justify it because of the kind of threats the place faces. Well, now they've got over 10,000 and growing patrolling the city. 3,800 of the increase, which is most of it, is now a permanent presence of the National Guard, which Trump has complete authority over. And Kegseth aims to double that force by the end of summer. There's at least 300 and rising federal agents that are members of either FBI, DEA, or ICE. In that city, you're constantly being watched, and the administration is gaining more and more authority to do what it wants. You even touch that pool, you might be considered Antifa. And as we see in Texas, that can land you in prison for a very long time. And I would expect them to push their authority in other cities around the country as the election approaches, especially blue cities in red states where the governor can invite them. There's a reason Trump seems so giddy these days, and I don't think it's all the dementia. I mean, if you're a permanent resident, the Supreme Court now says that law enforcement only needs a very low standard of proof of the fact that you committed certain crimes, and you can be placed in removal proceedings. And more crimes continue to fall under the domestic terrorism label. With everything going on, we tend to forget that Trump has been continuing to build and build a well-funded, controllable force that he can wreak havoc with. What I will say is that if there was ever a city ripe for creative forms of nonviolent resistance,